You know, some guys, their power is just silent. But that silence, man, it can hit harder than any punch. Today, we're getting into a story that's been whispered about for decades. This is the moment that shows you who Bruce Lee really was. Not just a fighter, but an absolute master strategist.
And it all hinges on this one line. Picture this, a super tense restaurant in Tokyo. He says it quietly, and in that instant, he turns this huge public humiliation into a masterclass. Seriously, this line is the key that unlocks the whole incredible story. And get this, it wasn't a threat, it was a diagnosis. Because that's what this whole thing is really about, right? It's not about who can hit the hardest, it's about that exact moment when your opponent's biggest strength, well, it becomes the very thing that drags them down. So yeah, this isn't just some cool fight story. It's practically a blueprint for how you can flip the script when everything seems stacked against you.
All right, so let's set the scene. It's 1972. We're in this quiet private restaurant in Tokyo. And for Bruce Lee, this is not just any dinner. This is it. This is the most important meeting of his entire life. Everything, and I mean everything he's ever worked for, is on the line, right there in a briefcase sitting on the floor.
He'd spent months going back and forth with this producer, a guy named Tanaka, and it all came down to this one night. The contract they were about to sign? It meant a leading role, full creative control. You know, the kind of massive break that launches you into being a global superstar. You can just imagine the pressure in that room. It must have been insane.
And then, bam, a shadow falls over the table. The calm is just shattered. In walks this guy, Takamura, an undefeated sumo champion. And he doesn't just walk into the room, you know, he basically consumes it. And his eyes, they are locked right on Bruce Lee. I mean, the contrast between these two is just everything. On one side, you've got Bruce. He's calm, he's focused, like a human calculator just processing every single angle. And on the other side, Takamura, a 400-pound national hero, totally drunk and full of arrogance. It's your classic David versus Goliath setup, right? But believe me, there's a twist coming that nobody saw.
And then comes the ultimate humiliation. Takamura literally walks over, grabs food right off Bruce's plate and eats it. Then he slams his hand on the table and says that line. The whole room just erupts in this nervous laughter, and you just know in that moment Takamura thinks he's won. Oh, he could not be more wrong.
See, when Bruce Lee finally stands up, it's not because he's angry. Not at all. It's because he's already done the math in his head. He's not just reacting to this guy. He's executing a plan. A brilliant plan that we're calling the 61-second gambit. And you really have to get this. That famous line he says, it's not a taunt. It's him springing a trap. He is literally telling Takamura exactly how he's about to lose. He completely changes the rules of the game. This isn't a brawl anymore. It's a race against the clock. What happens next is just total chaos. Takamura lunges, Bruce just isn't there. A table goes flying, glasses are shattering everywhere, and in all the mess, that contract, Bruce's entire future gets soaked in sake. It's completely ruined. But here's the thing, Bruce isn't really fighting Takamura. He's fighting for something way, way more important. Because he saw it. Within the first 10 seconds, Bruce spotted it. One of Takamura's buddies was filming the whole thing. They were hoping to get footage of this foreign martial artist getting humiliated. And Bruce knew, that camera, that footage, that was the real danger here. And this is where his strategy just becomes crystal clear. Think about it. If he throws the first punch, what does that camera see? It sees him attacking a beloved national hero. His career in Asia? Over. Just like that. So what does he do? He doesn't hit back. He lets Takamura tear the place apart, and he lets that camera roll, just capturing the big guy writing his own villain story.
Okay, so then things escalate. One of Takamura's guys pulls a broken bottle. Now, the math changes completely. Bruce just neutralizes him, and another guy with this blinding speed. We're talking 2 seconds, 2 men down. The little games are over, and now the real fight begins.
That drunken haze in Takamura's eyes, it's gone. Now it's just cold fury. He charges like a freight train, and Bruce, he's as calm as ever, and he starts counting, out loud, literally measuring the second-by-second decay of this guy's power. 1, 2, 3.
At first, the charges are just terrifyingly powerful, but they're clumsy. Bruce just sidesteps. He's not there. He's moving just enough, letting this giant punch holes in the air. And that count, it just keeps going. Steady, relentless. Every number is like another tick on Takamura's own internal clock, winding down.
And then, right around the 40-second mark, you can see it, the shift. Takamura's movements get sluggish, his chest is heaving. You can see the frustration in his eyes turning to doubt. He's in a fight against a guy he can't even touch, and against his own body, which is just completely betraying him.
And this right here is the absolute heart of the gambit. Bruce Lee literally weaponized exhaustion. He took the one thing that made Takamura a champion, all that mass, and turned it into an anchor. He was basically drowning the guy on dry land. Every single step becomes a massive struggle. So, with whatever he has left in the tank, Takamura throws one last desperate swing. Bruce just sidesteps and delivers a single, precise, open palm strike right below the ribs. It wasn't even a knockout punch. It was more like a punctuation mark, a final statement, and the exhausted giant, he just folds.
And into the dead silence of the room, Bruce says the final number, 61. The gambit is complete. An undefeated champion just dismantled, not with brute force, but with patience, with angles, and with 61 seconds of pure, absolute clarity.
But what happens next? Man, it's just as legendary as the fight itself. In the quiet that follows, with a 400-pound champion just wheezing on a nearby table, you get to see Bruce Lee's true character shine through.
So Bruce just sits back down and calmly orders another plate of food. Tanaka, the producer, is just stunned. He looks at the ruined contract and he realizes he's just seen something way more valuable than a signed piece of paper. He promises him a new, better deal right there on the spot. Think about that. Bruce won more by losing that contract than he ever could have by signing it.
And the ripples from that one night, they spread far and wide. Bruce Lee's career absolutely exploded. And Takamura, well, with his whole aura of invincibility just shattered, he quietly retired about a year later. The crazy part is, the story was never reported in the news. That tape was probably destroyed. It only survived in the whispers of the people who were actually there.
And really, that was the ultimate lesson from that night, wasn't it? Takamura's power was borrowed from his size, but Bruce Lee's power? That came from within, from his discipline, his intelligence, and from his deep understanding that the clock is always, always ticking.
Which kind of leaves us with this final thought. Bruce Lee could have ended that fight in a split second with some devastating strike. We all know that, but he chose a different way. He proved that true control, real power, isn't about just overpowering your opponent. It's about completely outthinking them. So what do you think? Is the greatest strength the one you never even have to show?